Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you about Noom. Has Noom helped you? I believe it has.
Oh, that's got an app. You can do tracking. It's terrific.
It does. Noom builds personal plans that can meet individual needs. That's the thing. Takes into account any dietary restrictions, medical issues, other personal needs. That helps build a plan that works for you. And yes, so I know that you've had your own personalized program here that you've been working on. And
it's weight loss This is weight loss results that last. They stick around because you get yourself into a lifestyle change. That's what matters.
That's mainly it. You can't just say, I'm going to cut that out for a month and then go back to it. That's not what it is. So I'm glad it's helping you. That's great. And it really does. I like the psychology and biology-based approach here. Yeah. Noom Weight uses psychology. That's why they say losing weight starts with your brain, but it also takes into account your unique biological factors, Jimmy. All of your multitude flora and fauna that goes on inside of you there. Sure. Yeah. Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com, Noom.com here, based on 3.5-year study of actively engaged Noom users with minimum starting BMI of 25. Individual results may vary. Visit our website for more information. Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit more about Rocket Money. It's the start of a new year. It's the perfect time to get organized, set your goals, prioritize what matters most. And for me, top priority is getting myself together here. Financial wellness, doing that, which that feels important, just feels like adult stuff that you have to do. And thanks to Rocket Money, my goals feel achievable now. They show me all my subscriptions in one place, help me easily cancel ones I forgot that I've been paying for, which happened to me. Absolutely happened to me. For years, I was paying for something. I was like, what is going on here? Rocket Money found it and saved me lots of money since then, because it's been a while. So they did a great job here. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder today. That's rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder. rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Small Town Murder Express.
Yay and choo-choo.
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Petrogallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmy Wissman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us today on another insane edition of Small Town Murder Express. As you know, 10 pounds of murder, 2-pound bag. It's a lot. We're stuffing it in here. We got a crazy story today, of course, as usual. Seems to be the Expresses are nuts always.
Good.
Then again, so is the regular episodes. Who cares? There we go. Let's get into this. ShutUpAndGiveMeMurder.com. Get your tickets for 2025. They are out. They are for sale. You can do some places we've never been before. Grand Rapids, I know. Portland,
and
Seattle.
You guys, holy.
Thank you for coming through.
You're amazing.
You're coming through. Pittsburgh, you're up first.
You better
Pittsburgh,
get on
Columbus.
it.
Yes, it is Super Bowl weekend. We understand. We understand the Steelers are good. We understand that. I don't care. Get your tickets right now.
Come on, let's go.
They'll mess it up somehow in the playoffs. Get out there anyway. Just do it. Get your tickets right now. Columbus, all that stuff. Get them in there. We can't wait. We're very excited. ShutUpAndGiveMeMurder.com is where you get all of those. Also, you definitely, first of all, want to listen to our other two shows, Crime in Sports and Your Stupid Opinions, which are just hilarious. And Crime in Sports this week, we are doing a two-parter on a guy who makes the worst character on The Wire look like a good guy. Like, it's just
a bad man.
A terrible, terrible guy we're talking about there, so check that out. Patreon is the bonus stuff. That's what you definitely want. Patreon.com/CrimeInSports is where you get all the bonus material. Anybody $5 a month or above, you're going to get hundreds of episodes you've never heard before immediately upon subscription of back bonus stuff, and then new ones every other week. One crime in sports, one small town murder. You get it all, baby.
You betcha.
For the low, low price of $5. For crime in sports this week, we're going to talk about, it's Christmas. We're going to do some light stuff. We're going to do sports songs where we are going to watch athletes try to sing, and we're going to laugh at them.
Embarrass
It's going to be great. We got Macho Man. We got some very fun Carl Lewis stuff.
They're
taking it real serious.
They think they're good at this.
It's a lot of fun. And then for Small Town Murder, we're going to talk about remote viewing, which cost taxpayers billions of dollars for the CIA to try to figure out if you concentrate enough, can you see into a cave 10,000 miles away?
Who signed that check? I want to punch you in the dick.
Lots of people. That is wild shit here. Through multiple administrations. This is a bipartisan fuckery is what we'll call that.
Jesus.
Patreon.com/CrimeInSports is where you get all that. That said, I think it's time, everybody.
Let's go.
Let's do this. Let's get this started. Let's all clear the lungs, arms to the sky. Let's all shout. Shut up and give me murder. Let's do this, everybody. Let's go on a trip, shall we? Let's do it. We're going to Idaho, everybody.
Hell yeah.
Oh, boy. This is northern Panhandle, Idaho, too.
Yikes.
Yeah, this is on the kind of on the Washington border right there.
Okay. Yeah, frightening, folks.
Western Panhandle. This is militia country is what we're talking about here.
Yeah, it's everybody that wants to move that Panhandle into Washington.
Yeah, there's a lot of quaint towns here too and stuff, but I mean, obviously, I probably not when the marches have come through on Saturday afternoons.
Not coming by. No.
So it's about 5 hours to Boise from here, so way up there.
God damn.
Yeah, it's about 8.5 hours to Idaho Falls, which was our last Idaho episode, so completely on the other side of the state.
Opposite ends.
That is episode 509. Almost got away with it is the name of that one.
Is it that fucking big, Idaho?
Idaho's huge. Yeah, it's a big goddamn state. Damn. And this is practically Canada, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it goes, that's what it does. It goes from the top of Utah all the way to Canada.
It's wild.
That is pretty long.
Population here, 33,964, so a decent amount of people, actually. Median home price here, or median income, household income, normally it's about $69,000 in the rest of the country. Here it is $60,581. Median home price, $327,500.
Right.
Nicknames for this town. They don't have any mottos, but they do have two nicknames that they proudly put out there.
What is this town?
Lewiston.
Yeah.
Lewiston, Idaho is this town. Nicknames here. One is L-Town, which sounds like a failed boy band from 2001. It's very bad.
Also,
very bad.
Now that L means just losing, you know what I mean? You don't want to be called L-Town.
No, that doesn't
Loser
work.
Town?
And then River City also. Which how many of those are there?
Pittsburgh.
Every city on the river. Cincinnati, Poughkeepsie, you name it. They're all on the river.
There's a lot of cities that are bigger than you. Called River City.
History of this town here. It's believed to have been named after Meriwether Lewis from Lewis and Clark.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of Lewis and Clark shit up here. There's the Lewis and Clark College is up here and all that kind of stuff. But also after Victor Trevitt's hometown of Lewiston, Maine, but people did not know that was the reason Trevitt had the idea. So basically, he named
Trevitt. Really?
He came up with the idea to name it after his hometown, but was like, "We'll name it after Lewis." So that way, nobody noted. He simply stated the Journal of Lewis and Clark talked about being in the valley. He didn't tell anybody that he was also from Lewiston here. Now, the city of Lewiston's reservoir failed on January 18th, 2023. And when I say failed, I mean, you wouldn't think, how does a reservoir fail? Is there a leak in it? This is catastrophic. This failure caused flooding with the release of 3 million gallons of water.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. So things to do here, surfing. You wouldn't expect that, would you? In northern Idaho. Reviews of this town, got to go through these quick because they vary vastly, we'll say.
Really?
We'll do a 5, a 3, and a 1 star and see how it goes down the line. Here's a 5 star. This person loves this fucking place. First time I saw Lewiston was at night, coming from the north. You come to a steep grade. You look right down to a valley. The view was incredible to me. Lights from the town expanded. Then, that's why I messed that up. Then you saw the river running through the town. I guess that's gorgeous. Gourgous. Gorgeous. Town, gorgeous. The town has a feel of the old meets the new with their brick old buildings in the lower half, but clean, nice, and family friendly. To the other half of the town, which has new hip stores and the old and young alike can shop at.
Of course.
Oh, boy. The streets are clean and maintained, patrolled regularly, makes you feel safe in a crazy world. Jesus Christ.
There's 33,000 people. How fucking unsafe can you feel?
That's what I'm saying. I've only been here a short time, and if I was to recommend a town to a couple about to start a family, without hesitation, I would say Lewiston, Idaho.
Yeah.
Without hesitation. Wow.
I just found out it existed.
Jesus, that's what I'm saying. This guy is, without hesitation, first words
Evidently
off his tongue. Lewiston,
a
Idaho.
beautiful view coming from the north.
You
didn't say anything about the south.
No, you come in from the north, boy. That's the view.
You invade this mother from,
Jesus.
from the north, you're going to see something amazing.
3 stars. It's a retirement community. There isn't much going on. It's a calm town, and I'm not sure I would like to see it change. I think it's meant to be that way. Except they said it's meant to be that way, which probably makes more sense if you've been here.
If I could recommend it to a young person, I would.
I would. I just feel as though
retirement community.
I just feel as though I don't belong here. Okay. So this person's like, I don't think it's right for me, but you might like it.
You might enjoy it.
You may enjoy it.
Old enough, yeah.
And then 1 star, a great place to start a militia or a meth lab. Now we're
there
talking.
You go.
There you go. The town smells like rotten eggs and garbage because of the paper mill and composting plant. Yeah, this is not...
The what?
Composting plant.
Jesus.
We take all of our poop and we mash it together here.
Yeah.
This
boy.
They didn't mention that when they were driving into town and seeing the lights in the river. They didn't mention the composting.
That must be on the south side.
The composting plant in the distance also. There's nothing but junk food and everyone is obese. I'm 190 pounds, which is skinny by Lewiston standards.
I am moving tomorrow.
To fucking Lewiston. So things to do here. Hot August nights. That's what they got.
Yeah.
Hot August nights, it's kicked off in 87 and began as a way to bring the Lewis-Clark Valley a taste of great music and artists they've never had a chance to experience before.
Yeah.
After the initial success of the first few years, a classic car show was added to the mix. They always have a classic car show. How do we get old men to come here? Put out a fucking car and put its hood up, and they'll just show up. Men over 50 will just wander in. They don't even know why.
We're thinking about having a festival. We're thinking about a classic car. I don't know if they've earned it yet. Let's have a couple successful ones
a few years first and see if they can handle a classic car show.
Burn some 91 octane down
Literally,
here. Fuck
though,
that.
Guys just wander to these. They don't even know why they're there. They're like, why am I here?
No.
Like aliens drew them there.
And if they brought their car there, they are the most jacked person on earth. They're like, I get to park it and have people look at it.
A hood up on a 69 GTO, and here I am. I don't know why. Lewiston's Hot August Nights is truly a community event. Downtown Lewiston streets are closed down so all the classic cars can be displayed. The event kicks off on Thursday at the local Toyota dealership. What I think of when I think of classic cars.
I think of Toyotas.
Yeah, with a preview of classic cars on their lot. They got like a 77 Corolla all fucking polished up for you.
There was a guy that put 1 million miles on a Corolla, and they gave him a brand new Corolla for it.
Gee, thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing wrong with a Corolla, but I mean, give me something a little extra for that.
That's not a reward.
Yeah, is there a turbo version or something? And then Friday night is Valley Favorite with Classic Car Cruise. And all these lead up to a car show and award ceremony.
Wow, we go from the Toyota dealer and cruise somewhere, park these motherfuckers and give out awards.
And then judge some shit. Now the bands.
Yeah, who's playing that?
Here's some bands from I don't know which year any of these bands are playing. This is from different times. Colby Calat. C-A-I.
Colby Calat. You know her.
There you go. I do?
Yeah. Yeah, you've heard one of her songs.
Okay.
She has one song
that's very famous.
This is a two-time Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter who sold over 6 million albums and 10 million singles worldwide. Her breakthrough hit, Bubbly, remains as one of the best-selling, I don't know what that is, digital tracks in history. The cool sounds of Colby will bring a new feeling to the Pioneer Park venue. I don't know who the fuck that is. I still don't.
You've heard Bubbly, though. I promise you.
God damn it, I hope I haven't. And then Friday night, enjoy the beats of local bands, the Maple Bars. You wonder if they came down from Canada. What do you think? They came down from the north. And Mantis.
Have I heard of Mantis?
I don't know. That sounds like a Slayer cover band is what that is. We're Mantis.
Sounds like they're pissed they didn't get signed, too. You guys signed Rat. Why not us?
And then Night Ranger, baby, of course.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, they're going to have not Night Ranger cover band. The real Night Ranger.
The actual Night Ranger.
Okay, let's talk about some murder, shall we? Let's do this.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go back to June of 2002 here. Let's go back in time a little bit. Not too far, but a little bit far here, 20-something years. Let's talk about a man first, Brian K. Elliott. 2 L's, 1 T, by the way, which really screws up a lot when it comes to newspapers and things like that. Now, he is 43 in June of 2002. He was born June 16th, 1959, to Alfred and Betty Elliott in Lewiston. He grew up in Lewiston, attended school in Lewiston.
He is Lewiston through and through.
He had a beard when he was 8, you know.
You bet, yeah.
Just a beard and a collection of flannel by that time.
And a beer belly.
Oh, for sure. He is a big, and this is in this area also, big deal. He's huge into camping, hiking. That's his his jam, the outdoors, which Northern Idaho, you better like the outdoors because there's a lot of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what's up there.
You got square print, whether it's a flannel or just a regular shirt. It's a lot of squares on that shirt.
You got a lot of
jeans.
A lot of 90-degree angles going on all over the place. Now, he is one of 4 brothers here. So it's him and 3 brothers to his mother and father. His favorite thing to do is, because he likes camping and hiking, but he likes to go up to the Snake River, sit on the banks of the Snake River, and read Western novels.
Really?
Like old-time, 2002 we're talking. This is the 90s into the 2000s, which is interesting. Western novels, which were big in like the 50s, you know what I mean? Like, and before that.
He's an old soul, James.
He's an old soul up here.
Yeah.
Now, his father and his older brother both are dead by 2002.
God.
His oldest brother and his father. So when we catch up, his mother and his 2 brothers are still alive. They live in Lewiston. He lives in Washington State, though, but not too far from here, just across the border.
Comes over.
Yeah, it's. I think it's right near the border, so people. Yeah,
that Koberger kid was in Washington.
He lived in Washington
went over to Moscow.
It's right
close.
there. It's right across the border. So his brother Dave says he's just a nice guy, likes people, likes to talk. That's Brian. He's a real friendly guy, makes friends with people, asks them about their personal life and what's going on, and remembers people's, how's your wife so-and-so? He's one of those guys.
Yeah, that backwoodsy shit, they love that.
Yeah, but it's not everybody's
King of the small talk.
Not everybody's like that, but he is, apparently.
Yeah.
People said that at work, they would tease him about his appetite. Apparently he eats like a fucking monster, but he's a thin guy.
Wow.
He's a thin guy, but eats like crazy. He's 5'11", weighs 160 pounds, and eats like a horse, 43.
Yeah, that's incredible.
He's killing it here. One of the coworkers said, "We always teased, boy, I wish I could eat like that and look like that." So, not be heavy set here. Yeah. He works at Paulucci's shoe and clothing store.
Is that right?
Paulucci over here. Yeah, there's the one Italian man in northern Idaho they found here.
Well, he was tired of how you motherfuckers dressed and opened a store to fix it.
He's like, it's a shoe store and clothing store. He's like, I'm going to fix this fucking place. Now, Jack Paulucci is the owner of this joint, of course, and he said that Brian was always on time to work.
Yeah.
He's on time. I'll tell you that much right now.
I feel like Mr. Paulucci will tell him if he's late, too.
That's
the reason he's on time.
What do you think? Is Brian a good guy? I don't know if he's a good guy. He's always on time to work, though. It's one of those guys. I don't know nothing about nothing, but he's on time to work. That's all I care about. He said, quote, he's a good worker. You can't find people who want to work anymore.
It's true.
People have been saying that since the 40s. That's what's funny. Every time, like, yeah, people are lazy now. They've always been lazy. Has never not been a thing that's existed in humanity.
The very first person was lazy.
Absolutely. Now, the store itself is on Main Street in Lewiston, and it's in the 500 block of Main Street. Mm-hmm. And above the store are some apartments. Yeah. I guess you could call. They're more like dorms, really, than apartments, to put it. Small. So above the store are the apartments, but in these apartments, by June of 2002, only one person lives in these apartments above the store. Really? Even though there's several. There's a guy named John Mark Cope, C-O-P-E. He's 42 years old at the time, and he moved in to these apartments in April 2002 with the help of Brian Elliott, as we'll talk about here. Now, this is not luxury accommodations above the shoe store, by the way. No. This is dormitory-style rooms with a common bathroom.
Meager as fuck.
Yeah, this is sharing a shitter with strangers, which
crazy.
I will not do that. That's where I'm.
It's not just the shitter. It's the
shower. It's the sink.
Gross.
It's everything. Yes, I'm not doing that. I'm not fucking doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I don't care. No. I'll shit in a field first before I do that. I'll shit in a field in a place where no one else has shat recently. Yeah, that's where I'll shit.
Because there's ways of like not getting their shit on you or their piss on you.
Doesn't matter.
There's no way to not get their grime on you.
Imagine sitting down on that seat and feeling warmth, like the seat was warm from a stranger's ass. I will not do it. Yeah, I will not ever.
I know, but I would wipe that fucking thing down every single time, and that would make it cold. You know what I mean?
What I would spend on fucking Lysol wipes would completely wipe out any savings I'm getting for living like this. You know what I mean? I might as well have a bathroom at that point.
Yeah.
Constant cleaning
shoes.
supplies.
I wouldn't wear them again.
That's what I mean.
I would throw them the fuck out every time I showered.
Every time I went to piss, I'd come in with a cart like a fucking hotel maid with like supplies and gloves on. Yeah. It would be horrible. I couldn't live like that.
I've had the flu all week. I've showered like 30 times. I'd have gone through a Walmart shelf of shower shoes this week.
I'm telling you, dude, it's gross. So now, apparently, the Cope is the only guy that lives up there. The shoe store is below. Everybody hates John Mark Cope in the shoe store. Oh. Except for Brian.
That's his buddy.
Well, he feels bad for him. Brian is the type of guy, if everybody else doesn't like someone and won't talk to him, he'll may go out of his way to talk to him, make him feel better. That's the type of guy Brian is. So Brian's coworkers said that he was the guy who dealt with Cope. Like, whenever Cope would come downstairs to get mail or something like that, like they would all turn their backs and Brian would be the one to deal with him because he was the only one who could deal with him. Everybody else couldn't stand him.
Is that self-preservation, you think? Like if Cope flips out, at least I'm going to be the one taking care of it?
Maybe. That was always my strategy in the office. Yeah. I'd find the person most likely to snap and befriend them always. Yeah. Worked every time. The craziest people always were like, yeah, fuck this guy, that guy, you're all right. You know what I mean? It worked. Yeah. Worked. I did it with comedy too.
Got to be this too,
because I knew some of those open micers, they could snap at any moment, and I was like, I'm going to be friends with that motherfucker because he's going to kill all of you, and not me.
I'm surprised there was only one.
I know, it's shocking, isn't it? Shocking.
But he did it in a scenario that was worldwide, or at least nationwide.
Everyone knew who. Yeah, that's
pretty amazing. Yeah,
disturbing.
More famous. More people know who he is than any other fucking local Phoenix comic.
Yeah, no shit. We're competing with him. That's who we're competing with. That's it. So the Jack Palucci's wife, Pitsy Palucci, her name is Pitsy Palucci.
Nice.
Pitsy Palucci said Brian was the one who was always nice about John, meaning John Cope there. He said that, most of the store employees did not like Cope. And for a reason, because Cope's a fucking weirdo, as we'll talk about.
What's he do?
Oh, God, he's a mess and a bit of a menace. He's got a lot of mental problems, several involuntary, stints. Oh, yeah, several in different states even. Like,
is that right?
Even whatever the standard of that state was, he'd fit it every time. Like,
you can't even call it environmental at that point.
Nope. No. He's got problems, this guy.
Yeah.
And very strange. Pitsy Palucci said it felt very uncomfortable when he came into the store, but Brian just said, don't be so judgmental. And Brian would deal with him and be nice to him. Come on, don't judge the guy. He's obviously got problems.
Good guy.
Yeah, he's obviously got problems. She said Brian would go outside to smoke and would talk to Cope when he'd go out to smoke. And Cope would come down and talk to him, and that kind of kept him at bay. It was Elliot who got Cope into the apartment above the shoe store.
Yeah.
That's how he got there, because he was, at the time, he was homeless. Cope.
Yikes.
He had no home. I guess 20 years before this, these bathrooms were be rented out by old, retired single people on a fixed income, because they shared a bathroom and all that. But recently, they had stopped. I guess Palucci owns all this. Mm-hmm. They had recently decided to stop renting them out because they said the renters were no longer respectable. Getting shitty old people coming in here. So he said, I'm not renting out any of my place. I'll take nothing. I don't want these people.
I rent nothing any longer.
I rent nothing. It's just I have empty apartments I keep up there, which is crazy. So Cope was the only person left living up there because it was all empty, but Brian Elliott convinced his boss to let Cope stay there. Come on, rent him a place. The guy he's down on his luck and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And Palucci said that Cope paid his rent on time and didn't cause any problems. There's no one to cause fucking problems with. No one else lives there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Once the shoe store closes at, 6?
Yeah.
He can go buck wild up there. No one will care.
Go nuts. Bounce off the walls.
Yeah. At one time, Palucci said that Cope had a lot of visitors coming and going, but then nobody else, then it stopped.
Yeah.
And this is from April to June 2002. So he had friends and he didn't have friends. A little bit about Cope's past here to get a little window into this guy. He moved a lot, number one. Never really stays at one place for very long because he's always has problems. And he's known to have lived in California. He lived in Coeur d'Alene and, all that kind of thing. I guess he has a background of commitments in California, all up and down the state of California. He's been committed to mental institutions and put in hospitals, basically. So they said a number of occasions he's been involuntarily committed in California. I don't know what a number of occasions means, but it sounds like a lot. Sounds like quite a bit. Since then, since he came to Idaho, he was cited for trespassing 3 times, which is normal for a homeless person. They get a lot of trespassing charges. Once for disturbing the peace, and once for battery on February 15th, 2002. So he attacked somebody.
Oh.
So that's 3, 4, 5. That's 5 separate police actions in the past 6-8 months in this town.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's an awful lot. And if he's homeless, that makes sense. In the case of battery, he was taken into jail, and then he battered somebody else as well. He wounded a fellow inmate at the Nez Perce County Jail in a fist fight over what television program to watch.
Hell yeah.
This is the guy who goes to jail and fist fights people over what's on TV. That's this guy.
Over television.
Television. Meanwhile, any sane person goes to jail. Whatever's on is on. I don't fucking care. I'm not fighting criminals over fucking TV time.
If there's a program, I'm watching it. I could give a fuck.
Don't fucking care. So he was involuntarily committed for mental health problems in the state of Idaho on 3 occasions prior to this, by the way.
Is that right?
So those are all arrests, and then he's been committed on 3 different occasions as well, just in Idaho.
Yeah. Do we know what the imbalance is? Is it just a short fuse?
He's got a lot going on. We don't know. We'll find out his exact diagnosis later, but he's got a lot of problems mentally.
Is it chemical?
It's definitely nothing that he can just wish away. It's definitely something he needs to be on some serious medication for here. The hospitalizations were from June the 7th of 2001 until August 2nd of 2001. Then October 25th, they put him back in.
Right back in.
So, I mean, he lasted not even 3 months of 2001, and he's in there till January 15th. And then January 15th, he gets out in 2002, and then March 1st, they put him back in. And then the 20th, he gets out. So it's like he's in for 3 weeks. He's in for a month, out for 3, in for a month, out for 3, basically. And that was the most recent involuntary commitment leading up until June of 2002 was him getting out on March 20th of 2002.
Okay.
And then in April, he gets out. He's homeless. Brian helps him get the apartment in April. There we go.
Yeah.
So shortly after discharge, the last time, he became non-compliant with his outpatient mental health treatment. And they said this made him suffer a decompensation of his illness. He got worse, obviously. Yeah. He needs to be on medication, this guy. There's no ifs, ands, buts, or two ways about it. It's one of those things. It's
unfortunate. He's probably never going to be a rich man. He just needs to focus on this. And this is where you mark that's the mark of a successful man when you're in this position is
get
you're
better.
Not committed. Yeah.
Yes. Try to stay out and stay on the level here.
Member of society. That's success.
And he has a history of basically when he's non-compliant with his treatment and medications. When he's on medication, he's fine. Everybody says he's fine. But the problem is he doesn't stick with it at all. And they said when he's not sticking with it and when he's non-compliant with that shit, he has a history of aggression and violence toward people. He lashes out at people, obviously.
Frustration.
For over a fucking TV show. So he was homeless, had no support system, had no anything like that. Another factor here is that he is a huge alcoholic, too.
Booze. Yep.
So he has mental problems and he's drinking like crazy, which is only going to exacerbate mental problems, obviously. I mean, you might drink. You might drink to quiet the voices in your head, quote unquote, but they're not going to help voices in your head. They're going to make them louder, probably.
Right. And all that does is make them scream because you can't hear them.
Yes, they're going to shout louder now because they can't hear you, so you can't hear them. So those are a lot of factors to this guy. And they said each time he's been involuntarily committed, that's the pattern. He gets out, he does his outpatient shit for a little while, throws it away. Within a couple more weeks, he's in the hospital again. Rinse and repeat, basically. That's why we saw that pattern emerging. That's his pattern.
He needs a good cry, man.
He needs a good lot of shit. He needs a good. He needs to be medicated, and then he can figure out what he needs. Yeah. For the rest of us, we need him to be medicated. He needs
a good. We need him to get a good chemical balance.
That's it.
He needs a good cry and to figure out what the fuck.
Exactly. Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about the safest sponsor ever, Simply Safe. Absolutely. These people will keep you safe. It's amazing. You know that every 26 seconds a burglary takes place in the United States, according to the FBI. That means that by the time this podcast is over, dozens and dozens of homes will have been targeted, ransacked. God knows what happens here. So protect your home before it's too late with Simply Safe proactive security system. Simply Safe helps stop threats before they even have a chance to break in. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News and World Report 5 years in a row. And by us for about the last 8 years as well. If you trust us, believe me, you want Simply Safe. So visit simplysafe.com/small to claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring plan and your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/small. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Now back to the show.
This show, Small Town Murder, is brought to you by BetterHelp. Get yourself some therapy, everybody. Honestly, here. We often hear about, red flags that you should avoid. Hey, that's a lot of a thing. It's become a real phrase now, real cliche. But why don't you focus also, you look at like green flags in friends and partners. Look for good things as well. Right. And maybe you're not sure what that looks like, though. Therapy can help you figure that out. What are positive things? What are the green flags? And then you can practice them in your relationship. It's absolutely a fact. And so, honestly, we absolutely are huge advocates for this. It really, really helps. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable. It's convenient. They serve over 5 million people worldwide. You can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists, wide ranges of specialties there. Here's the coolest part. You're not getting along with your therapist, you're just not feeling it, you can switch at any time, no extra charge.
Wow.
The thing is, they want you to get help. That's it. And you can do it with BetterHelp. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/smalltownmurder today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
So June 29th, 2002 comes around. Okay. So Brian's birthday was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. He's getting ready to see the festival. He better get it together.
Hot August Nights is coming. He's getting ready to see Night Ranger. He's ironing his Night Ranger t-shirt that he got in '84 during the tour. Oh, man. So
I'm listening to them tonight. I fucking loved them.
Gotta rock some Night Ranger. Fuck yeah. So it's 2 p.m. that day. The shoe store is open and bustling, and Mark Cope is upstairs in his apartment. Brian Elliott is working at the shoe store. He tells the employees, his fellow employees, he's got to go upstairs to the apartments to, quote, check on something. He says, I got to go check on something. I'll be back in a minute. Okay? So he takes off. Doesn't come back right away. Gone for quite a while.
Oh, boy.
But he always talks to Cope, so his employees are like, he's probably stuck in a conversation with this guy.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Cigarette.
I mean, how busy can a Main Street shoe store be? Where we're like, we're flooded. Come on, we need somebody. All hands on deck, man. Somebody measure that kid's fucking feet. They're not going to measure themselves.
Get his foot out of that. Who didn't give him the sock? Who's got the socks?
My God. Where's the sock? Does anyone know where ask Brian where the sock is. No one can find the sock, man. The sock. So then 3 p.m. comes around.
Yeah.
So it's an hour later. John Cope enters the emergency room of St. Joseph Regional Medical Center at 3 p.m. Okay, they said he's super distraught, and that really doesn't even scratch the surface here. This is crazy shit. Okay. He had a small cut on his hand. Not a huge cut, but, a decent little gash, maybe a couple stitches.
Gash, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But he is covered in blood.
Oh.
Like he was standing in the hallway in The Shining, like fucking covered in fucking blood, and there's a little gash on his hand. They're like, wow, that's a bleeder,
what
huh?
happened?
Holy, you a hemophiliac or something? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Stop?
Holy shit. So he acts so weird, and the fact that he's covered from head to fucking toe, soaked. I mean, blood is dripping off of him.
Wow.
And he's got a cut on his hand. So they're like, this isn't normal. So they call the police also.
Sure.
But he refused to identify himself, and his conversation was what they called, quote, nonsensical in the reports. They couldn't even understand what he was talking about. Yeah. So they didn't know anything. They were like, wow, this is crazy. So they were talking to him, and they said, would you like some help with your, pointing, pointing at your head? Would you like some help with whatever fucking dust bunnies are floating around in there?
How about that, al dente? Let's talk.
And he said yes. He voluntarily committed himself to the hospital psychiatric unit on the 5th floor. So they check him in there. All right, he's all checked in. We'll talk about some of the stuff he was saying because it was fucking wild. They said, what's your name? And he said, dump truck.
Oh, boy.
He would not give his name. He would only give his name as dump truck. That's his name. First name dump, last name truck. So
fast forward 20 years, and that's a nurse with a big caboose. I understand.
Yeah, it's a dump truck. They're like, he wasn't saying his name. He was complimenting that nurse. That's what he was doing. Now I understand him. He's just horny.
He just likes big asses. He's fine.
He's not crazy. He's just horny. He's just very sane. He likes big asses. That's understandable. We all get that. So 4 p.m. comes around now.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Elliott still never came back to the shoe store.
And it's only been a couple hours.
It's been 2 hours.
This guy's already in the fucking mental unit.
Oh, he's in the psych ward already. Yeah. So they're like, well, someone should go fucking at least maybe bail him out of a conversation. Maybe he's stuck up there with this guy. Come out and go, hey, we're super busy down there, Brian. Could use you. Yeah. That sort of thing. So Bill Lee, one of his coworkers, ran upstairs to go check on him. He's like, I'll fucking find him. When he gets there, he doesn't even get to the top of the stairs when he sees the problem. And that is Brian Elliott is laid out dead at the top of the stairs. And it's a fucking scene, man. This isn't, oh, is he okay? Let's go check his pulse. He doesn't have a head.
What?
His headless corpse is at the top of the stairs.
Holy shit.
Head sitting nearby. That's not a
He
mystery.
left it.
Oh, it's sitting there. Yeah, he didn't take it with him or anything. So, yeah.
Why take it? What the fuck?
This guy thought he was getting 5 minutes away from the shoe store.
Ugh.
And he found something he did not want to fucking find. So, yeah, this is
the hell?
Top of the stairs that lead from Main Street to the second floor apartments. So, he's decapitated like a motherfucker. That's the only way to put it. He's super decapitated. Lee, the guy who found him, said it was not a pretty scene. It was one of those unfortunate things that happened. That's a little bit more than unfortunate.
I would say
His
so.
head is not on his body anymore. He said, you expect to read about stuff like this in a large urban area, but not in a small town like this.
Oh, come on, man.
Thank you, Bill Lee, for making our premise relevant. So
we've been done saying that for several years.
The cops get brought there. Blah, blah, blah. They do all this shit. They find the body. They do all that. They go, where's the guy that lives here? And they give his name, John Mark Cope, and they're like, hold on a minute. They start putting two and two together. They go back to the hospital. We saw a guy covered in blood a little while ago. That's not good. So they're going to interview Cope, which is going to be an adventure, number one here.
Yeah.
The detective also said that bloody footprints lined the hallway of the apartments up there, and there was a blood trail leading from the apartment to St. Joseph's Medical Center.
Stop it.
You could follow a fucking blood trail from his apartment to the hospital.
My God.
He was dripping blood all over the place. Just left us. That's wild. So they advise him of his rights, and he immediately starts making completely incoherent statements.
Yeah.
That in the midst of these incoherent statements are the fact that he did kill Brian Elliott. He does admit to that.
He said that.
Oh, he'll give you a whole detail of what happened here. But there's a lot of comments about the beast. He's talking about the beast all the time.
Yeah.
And letting the beast out. And he insists that his name is Dump Truck also.
I wish Dump Truck hadn't invented this jar. This is so
a
bad.
Lot. This is crazy.
Golly.
So they said, what the fuck happened to you?
Tell me.
What made this happen? And he said, well, I was sitting in my apartment watching TV, as one does.
Yeah.
And I was drinking beer and I think maybe using some Benadryl too.
Using some Benadryl.
So beer and Benadryl will make you think your name is Dump Truck, apparently.
It certainly isn't good.
And he said, as he's sitting there watching TV, drinking beer, taking Benadryl, like I said, as one does, that's when he started hearing voices in his head all the time. Just people shouting at him in there, and, it gets loud in there. And so he said that's right when Elliot knocked on his apartment door, right when he was hearing voices in the midst of the voices. Well, we'll find out here. So then he said he went to the emergency room, and they said he was covered in blood, acting psychotic, talking about letting the beast out. He told an officer at that point that he was being tormented by the mark of the beast. Don't you understand anything? I'm being tormented. And when the mark of the beast came to his door, he was being tormented, and then that's all these voices, and then the knock came. That must be the mark of the beast.
Oh, God.
So he said he came when the mark of the beast came to his door, he cut the beast's head off with a knife, he said. Obviously, duh, what would you do? Mark of the beast is at my door.
Timing that this had to happen. Oh,
the
Jesus.
timing. So this is fucking crazy. Now, the reason why Elliot went up there was to remind Cope that he had 3 days to move out of the apartment because I guess there was his time was coming to an end here.
Yeah.
So I guess he knocked once and nobody answered. So he knocked again. And that's when Cope attacked him and grabbed a knife and decapitated him.
Well, the good news is he's got a new place to stay now.
I would say so. He's not homeless anymore. And then, if that wasn't enough, he severely mutilated the severed head after that. He took the severed head and attacked it with a knife and beat it. And he said that he was trying to stop the head from talking and it wouldn't shut up. The severed head. So he was stabbing it and just like punching it and kicking it and trying to get it to stop talking. Well,
what do you do with that guy?
I don't even. That's what I mean. What do you do with this guy?
Oh my God!
Clearly, there's some issues here. So he said he was following the instructions of, and that he wrote this down because they were like, "What is that?" So he wrote it out. Melcirdak. Melcirdak.
Whatever.
That's who was telling him what to do. Melcirdak.
Doesn't mean a goddamn thing.
He said, I heard, H-U-R-D, by the way. This is his writing. Because they said, write down what happened for us, will you? Because no one's going to believe you said the shit that you're saying. So you got to write it down, and then we'll have it in a report.
Heard like turd. All right.
Yes, I heard God say, finish him off. He's the mark of the beast. Which, how many times has God told you to do that? I mean, you got to ignore God sometimes. You know what I mean?
Look, we got a society. He
I
tells
can't
me
do
daily,
that.
and I go, not this one.
Not today, God. Jesus Christ. Come on. He said, he's the mark of the beast. Get your knife and answer the door. And there was a man who I thought was the mark of the beast, a black man, mutated white. It's just Brian, just a white guy from Idaho, just standing out his door.
This is a white from Idaho who got you a room.
Who got you a room, helps you out, smokes cigarettes with you. That's how fucked up he was. He didn't even see him as Brian. He saw him as a black man, mutated white. And he said, and that's when I slit both sides of his neck and ran him down, cut his head off, and tossed it so he could not speak or hear. Mm-hmm. Wow. He said, I had been taking a lot of Benadryl and hearing voices.
Take Benadryl off the shelves tomorrow.
Tomorrow. If this is true, no Benadryl at all for anybody. You give your kids that shit, you know?
Yeah, who knew allergy med and beer would do this?
Wow, I know what I'm doing tonight.
Yeah,
give me
some. Fuck.
3 beers and a couple of Benadryls. I'm going to have a fucking
lines,
party, bro. This is going to be great. No one knock on my door tonight at all. Be careful. Everyone stay away from my house because it's going to be dangerous.
Pink lines drawn on all the tables in this house.
So, that's what he said. He decapitated him. He mutilated the severed head.
Yeah.
And he said that's how he cut his hand, mutilating the severed head.
Yeah.
So they go, we're going to go ahead and arrest you. Mm-hmm. This is fucking crazy. So they go back. Police find a knife that a witness said he saw Cope hide in a shrub at the corner of 3rd Ave and 6th Street at Pioneer Park. Yeah. In Pioneer, that's where the concert is, by the way. If you want to go listen to Bubbly, you can walk by the knife bush. And that's
Night Ranger playing by the murder bush.
Playing right by the old murder weapon shrub. That's great. So then there's a mail carrier here, Carla David, who was the postal worker who delivered mail to the store, and she also dropped off mail for the upstairs apartments in the store.
Yeah.
She says, it amazes me this whole thing could happen. I just talked to him 2 hours earlier before his death about Brian. She gave Elliot a letter for Cope.
Yeah.
And Elliot confirmed, yes, he's still living there. He's leaving in 3 days. That is the other reason he went up to the apartment.
To make sure he gets the mail.
So I'm going to go give him his mail and tell him he's got 3 days left. And that's what happened. So if the mail didn't come, he probably wouldn't have gone up there that day.
Damn it.
That's what's fucked up if he didn't have any mail. So, goddamn, it was probably nothing, too. It was probably Publishers Clearinghouse, and this guy got his head cut off.
It was way worse than that. It was like
something terrible.
Yeah.
Fucking money mailer coupon book or some shit. And he's
so awful.
So now his mother and 2 brothers, Brian's mother and 2 brothers, said they're coping with the shocking nature of this death because they said it's one thing for your kid to die. Yeah. It's one thing for your kid to be murdered. It's a complete other thing for your kid to be murdered and decapitated and have his head mutilated, and that's a lot to process.
Whole lot.
That's a lot. Dave, his brother, said we're all leaning on each other, and his mom, Betty, said if we don't have each other, if we didn't have each other, I don't know what we'd do. It's like somebody took a slice out of my heart. Well, he took a fucking head off of your son.
Head. What are you talking about, lady?
Took a head off your son.
Why say slice in that moment?
That's why do people do? It's a weird thing that people can't, like, their brain. It's got to
be stuck into you somewhere that you've got to say something.
So often,
it's too much.
So often where people don't. The last thing I would use is any knife work terms.
Any knife reference at all.
We're trying to sharpen our emotions up on something, and it's really that life is a blade, really, if you think about it. There's edges to it. It's
like someone took a knife, baby, edgy and dull, cut a 6-inch valley through the middle of my skull.
That's how it feels.
What are you talking about?
What? So Palucci here, Jack Palucci over here downstairs.
Yeah. What's he got to say?
He said it came as a shock, this death. He said anybody could have been the victim in here. Mm-hmm. So it could have been anybody. He said, quote, it could have been anybody, literally. It could have been anybody. Why did they do that to Brian? Brian didn't have anything to do with it. Okay, let's break down this statement because I love an old Italian man's statement. Yeah. It could have been anybody. That's a sweeping generalization for the top of the key here.
That's how they usually start a denial, but go on.
Then, why did they do that to Brian? Like there's 10 people who did it. They make it sound like it was like he went in an alley and a gang attacked him. You know what I mean? And took all his shit. Then Brian didn't have anything to do with it. Do with what?
Right.
I guess the fact that he was leaving in 3 days? I don't even know. He didn't get a chance to say you have to be out in 3 days. He was too busy getting decapitated. So
he knocked and then was just eviscerated.
The DoorDash driver could have gotten this. Anyone who got knocked at that point while he was hearing voices, I think it was pretty much over for them.
Could have been anybody.
So wow, the prosecutor here, the county prosecutor, expressed what he called substantial concerns about Cope's mental health in his first appearance in court. And he said he's prepared to move on with the case, assuming Cope is competent to stand trial.
Right.
He said that mental illness doesn't prevent him with being charged with first-degree murder, which requires the act to be willful, deliberate, and premeditated, which I probably 1 out of 3.
Willful and deliberate. We got
maybe.
2 of those.
Yeah, not premeditated.
Premeditated.
I don't think. He didn't even know he was coming.
Seconds to call that, right?
That's what I'm saying. I don't see premeditated here. So the Main Street, after a couple days, back to normal. Nobody cares.
What?
That's it. The police captain said all they're doing now is just continuing with the investigation and following up with any potential witnesses. They said the crime tape that they used to cordon off the crime scene was removed, and the Palucci's opened their store again on Monday, and that was that.
Yeah.
That's it. They said there's the espresso cart across the street. People are sipping their lattes and doing their normal shit here. Later on in the day, they said the movies were full. Minority Report was playing. It was sold out with Tom Cruise. So if only that was true, we could have known anything about this. So the police chief, Jack Baldwin, everyone's name is Jack in this town.
Evidently.
He said bad crimes sometimes happen in small cities, but his force is prepared to deal with it. He said, we're capable of restoring peace back in the valley when it occurs.
Okay.
It's one guy who went crazy. Yeah. It's not like there's a rash and a band of fucking vigilantes.
If it hadn't happened in the guy who did it's house and the guy who did it wandered into a hospital, if both of those things hadn't happened, you'd be fucking stumped.
You wouldn't know anything like anybody else. So they said that they found the knife in his first court appearance. They said they had the knife. They're convinced Cope did it alone, obviously. They said, though, they had several officers ready to testify that Cope's speech was nonsensical, and the prosecutor also said he had unconfirmed reports that Cope had been admitted to the psychiatric hospitals in the recent past. They're confirmed. He definitely was. So they said, the prosecutor said it's important to establish as soon as possible whether he's actually capable of standing trial. And they said that the judge appointed the defense attorneys, and he said, I can't imagine why Mr. Chapman or Mr. Van Eater, those are the attorneys, would want to contest this evaluation. But 2 hours after being appointed, the one lawyer argued against the evaluation. I don't know what you're arguing against, saying the defense should determine whether or not to have Cope examined, not the state.
Oh.
So what if they suggested it for you?
Right. What? Why don't you do it too?
That's like your stomach's growling. You're just about to say you're really hungry, and someone goes, you want to go get dinner? And you go, you motherfucker, I was going to say that. Fuck you.
But
that's so weird. You're both.
In this case, wouldn't you be like,
thanks.
Great, do it, because then I'm going to do it, and we'll have battling people on. That's the whole point.
His lawyer said there was no substantial evidence that Cope was suffering from any mental disease, only the impressions of police officers. Who do you work for?
Right.
He said this is just putting the cart before the horse.
Sir.
What are you talking about?
Doesn't believe in mental health.
Apparently it seems like it. So the judge admitted that the law was unclear whether the prosecution or defense should move forward with a mental evaluation. I think he's like, it's never come up that the prosecution says a mental evaluation, the defense says no. The defense is the one going mental evaluation all the time.
The man said his name's Dump Truck, and he sawed he's accused of
the mark of the beast.
A man's head off. Let's check him out.
Let's give him a little look-see.
Golly.
So the prosecutor described the apartment hallway, which has been sealed, as a biohazard due to the large amounts of blood still on the floor, as well as hair and flesh.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Luckily, nobody else lives up there. That's good.
Yeah.
Nobody has to step over that. So the judge grants the defense team $2,500 to hire an investigator also, and said that hurry up because the scene needs to be cleaned up, basically.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit more about our stylish friends at Quince. That's right. Let's go elevate your styles, people. Yeah. Get it going, look good out there, and you can do it now without breaking your wallet, without breaking the bank, because at Quince, you can get high-end, versatile pieces at prices we can all actually afford, which is very nice. You want to get good stuff that lasts and it's good, and they have quality stuff that's very affordable, and you can do like we did, upgrading our stuff here, while still being a very reasonable price. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. It's all quality stuff. You're going to love it. Trust us, it looks good. And I've got the leather jacket. It's a very high-quality item. Real nice, soft leather. Yeah. Jimmy's got his linen pants he's rocking.
Yeah, they're terrific.
Come on, be like us. Be fashionable. Get in there with Quince. Indulge in affordable luxury. Go to quince.com/smalltownmurder for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/smalltownmurder to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about a very cool place, Thrive Market. Yes, we are both looking to get into the healthy swing this year. The problem is I don't know what's in everything, and I don't know if even I'm qualified to even read the labels to know if that's good or that's bad. Right. There's chemicals and things, and there's things floating around. I don't know what I'm doing out there. One of my favorite features, and I know you were talking to me about this, is the Healthy Swap Scanner in the Thrive Market app. Yeah, it's simple. You scan any item, and it'll instantly suggest a cleaner, healthier grocery alternative, which is
it's great.
Amazing. Yeah. That's great. Thrive Market also takes the guesswork out of finding these safe, healthy foods. For example, like I'm trying to get my protein intake up for energy. I'm always moving around. I need stuff. And I love that you can filter their site by the high protein options.
Nice.
It's very cool. And you can personalize this portion and you can put filters on it. And get ready. You should be ready for a junk-free start to 2025. Get ready for it and head to thrivemarket.com/smalltownmurder and get 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/smalltownmurder, thrivemarket.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Experience furniture shopping the way it's meant to be at Mathis Home, your ultimate furniture superstore. From sofas to dining sets, from modern to classic styles, they have everything you're searching for. With over 230,000 items to choose from, you're sure to find exactly what you're looking for at a price you'll love. Plus, everything is in stock and ready for fast, free delivery right to your door. So you don't have to wait. And if you're looking to really transform your space, take advantage of our complimentary interior design services. Our expert designers are ready to help with any project, whether big or small. And right now, check out the Lazy Boy BOGO event at Mathis Home, happening now through March 1st, 2025. Buy one Lazy Boy recliner and get another one absolutely free. Don't miss this limited time offer. Only at Mathis Home, your ultimate furniture superstore.
Holy shit. So, first July 5th now, a few days later, it says the prosecutor had requested the examination, but Cope's attorneys objected, and now they said that he will not be evaluated. So, then the judge finds him, even though he hasn't been evaluated, finds him incompetent to stand trial. And he needs to undergo a psychiatric evaluation for several months. So he's committed for the 90 days of diagnostic. What the fuck is wrong with this person? Shit going on here. He says that his attorneys now say, because once they said that he's competent, then his attorney said, no, he's not.
Okay.
They said they can't communicate with him. So,
right.
Yeah, that's a problem here. Then they get the psychiatrists in here. Okay. 2 psychiatrists both come up with the exact same diagnosis.
Really?
Yes. He
That's interesting.
suffers from paranoid schizophrenia.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is not good. That's hearing voices and all that. And antisocial personality disorder, which is also
That's
bad.
real bad.
Those
which
are
is
the
also
two worst to have together.
Together, those are a bad combination.
Oh boy, somebody's gonna die.
That is some kind of cocktail right there.
Yeah.
So that's like fucking bleach and bleach and ammonia mixing together. So, yeah, he testified in this hearing that he may have been drinking beer. Thinks he was using Benadryl. He was definitely hearing voices. Yeah. So the judge said to him, they've indicated that you have a serious mental health problem. A mental health problem, it doesn't appear, that has ever been successfully treated in a manner in which you can manage yourself in society and not cause some kinds of problems. This has escalated to the point where you are before this court for a very serious offense.
I've got some very serious questions about who the fuck was treating him elsewhere.
Well, they would put him in for a while. They'd get him on medication.
Yeah.
When he's inpatient, he takes medication. He's fine. So they have to release him after a while, and he's supposed to do outpatient medication, but then he just stops taking his medication when no one's watching him. So there's no way to...
Did they fucking figure out that these two things are his problem?
Probably.
Do you know what I mean?
He's been in several mental hospitals. I assume so, but he just takes off. He goes and moves somewhere else.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. If you're moving, then
that doesn't help either.
Get help up there.
Yep, that's it. Glad to be rid of that guy. That's what people think, probably. So 4 months later, they finally deem him ready for trial. All fixed up now.
Holy.
All sane. Now, here is the thing. There is no insanity defense in the state of Ohio. Or Idaho, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There is
That's
no
wild.
not guilty by reason of insanity in Idaho. It's one of 4 states that does that. Where they do not... You could be rip-roaring, insane, running around with a fucking terrier's skin on your head as a hat. Fuck, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
There are crazy people. They exist. People who literally cannot control their actions and don't know right from wrong.
Yes.
We know that. So to say that they don't, not in Idaho they don't, is crazy. Not in Idaho.
Impossible. Yeah.
Not in Idaho, Kansas, Montana, or Utah. Now, luckily, that's like 150,000 people total. Yeah. So that's not a lot of people, luckily, but still.
But Utah, the amount of Mormons, those people are clearly crazy.
Yeah, right? No shit. Planet, your own planet, huh?
Yeah, not crazy at all. Okay.
Sure thing. So, yeah, this was challenged in 1990 by a guy named Barrington Eugene Searcy, who challenged Idaho's ban on the insanity defense. He argued that the unavailability of the insanity defense violates due process. But the Supreme Court of Idaho upheld the statute, and holding that neither the Idaho Constitution nor the United States Constitution expressly requires the insanity defense.
Feels to me like that's about money, right? It's got to be cheaper to hang on to somebody longer in prison than it is to hang on to somebody in a fucking insane asylum.
That's about politics. That's about
maybe that too.
Somebody got away with something. Someone didn't get prison time because they were crazy, and some politician ran on, I will make it so none of these people claim
Nobody's
they're crazy anymore.
Easy. Yeah.
And all of this shit happened in the early 80s after Hinckley. That was the thing. Hinckley was a big one that drove people to say that crazy doesn't exist. Right. Or even if it does, if they do something I'm mad enough about, it doesn't matter.
Right. And if you do something that threatens the actual leader of the free world.
Kind of like if you're 14 and you do something bad enough, you're an adult all of a sudden now. Yeah. That's kind of like one of those things. If we can make you an adult, we can say you're sane too, I guess. So 2003 here, they're talking about the death penalty for this guy and all this shit. The trial's about to come up. I mean
he's useless. Let's call it what it is.
I mean, he's not going to contribute much to society. So he agrees instead to plead guilty to second-degree murder.
Okay.
To avoid the death sentence. That's the only deal.
Instead of the death sentence.
Well, because first-degree murder carries the possibility of the death sentence. Second-degree doesn't. So he pleads guilty to second-degree, so there's no possibility of the death sentence here. Right. So he has spent the last 3 months under state psychiatric treatment, and he's here. The prosecutor said questions about his mental state, among other issues, convinced him to make a deal, the prosecutor said.
Among other things.
Yeah, among other things. He said, quote, I don't believe that in our justice system, a death penalty on an individual who was in a psychotic episode will be upheld. He didn't say it's wrong.
Yeah.
He said, I feel like the U.S. Supreme Court will strike this down later, is what he said. So why bother?
They probably won't.
No, but there's a chance when someone's that fucking crazy that they're going to at least commute it to life. You know what I mean?
I've never heard of any prisoner who got a death sentence identifying themselves as dump truck.
That's the thing. Dump truck is different. Although they've executed people with like a 60 IQ that can't remember their fucking names.
That is true. Yeah.
That's true too. He also no, they can't write. The prosecutor also cited questions about the validity of the state's death penalty law following last summer, 2002 summer, meaning Supreme Court ruling that juries, not judges, must determine if aggravating circumstances exist to warrant execution. Idaho's system was not set up like that. It was still set up where the judge is the one to do that. Oh, my God. So they said that legislation reacting to that decision is awaiting a final vote in the Idaho House at the time. So he's like, I didn't know what to do. I'm stuck in limbo. So I made a deal with the guy. And he said also, not having a trial will save tens of thousands of dollars for the state.
Yeah, that's true too.
It's yeah, and then we're going to have, because also fighting all those appeals later on to the Supreme Court, that's going to cost the state a fortune. He's like, this is just clear it out now.
It's very funny that they said tens of thousands.
Tens, it's hundreds, yeah. Wow. So the judge said, I just want to ask them, meaning the person putting this plea, so that I can determine whether or not you're entering a plea of guilty this morning knowingly, voluntarily, and intelligently. I don't think he can do those three things, first of all.
No.
So they said after a lengthy dialogue with Cope, which the judge reminded Cope of the charge against him, as well as the maximum penalty, said, you plead guilty. He said he pled guilty. They said, has anyone promised you anything? Like that, I'd be easy on you if you pled? He said, no, all that kind of thing. So that comes up later, so that's why I say that. The written plea agreement also included the following waiver of Cope's right to appeal. This is part of the deal.
Oh.
Unless the plea is rejected or withdrawn, the defendant hereby gives up any and all motions, defenses, objections, appeals, or requests that the defendant has made or raised, could have served hereafter, or to or against any matters preceding the court's entry of judgment and imposition of sentence. So you're signing away your future rights to complain if you're pleading here. Mm-hmm. So the state filed a motion asking that the pre-sentence investigator be allowed to review the psychiatrist reports. Cope opposes this motion, arguing that prohibited use of that report in the criminal proceeding for any other purpose other than determination of competence, because that's what that was for. So now they're being picky. And that's going to come up because the law says a statement made by a person subjected to a psychiatric or psychological examination or treatment in Idaho code, blah, 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 for the purposes of such examination or treatment shall not be admissible in evidence in any criminal proceeding against him on any issue other than the defendant's ability to assist counsel at trial or to form any specific intent, which is an element of the crime charged, except that statements made of a defendant to a psychiatrist or psychologist are as relevant for impeachment purposes. So unless it's to say whether you're competent in a competency hearing, you can't use this in court.
Okay.
You can't take his shit from there and go, look how crazy he is. He's a murderer.
Yeah.
So at the sentencing hearing, the state called the doctor to testify anyway. Cope again objected, but the court overruled the objection and let him testify, even though it clearly states in the law that he's not allowed to. So the doctor testified about statements that Cope had made during the competency evaluation, as well as his opinions formed therein. So anyway, the closing arguments in sentencing here. Okay.
Yeah, because he's already pled, so they're just having these people testify to find out what the judge thinks is the sentence he should get?
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Wow.
So the prosecutor argued that Cope would never be safe on the streets, pointing to his failure to take his antipsychotic medications upon release from numerous involuntary commitments to mental facilities.
Right.
He said, you can't trust him to, if he takes his medicine, he's fine. He won't take it. He's proven that in the past. He won't do it.
No.
Now, Cope, they said, anything to say for yourself? He said, sure. I got a couple of, I'd like to throw a couple of things out there. He says this is his whole statement, and it's crazy. Quote, I know it was a bloody mess. That's an understatement.
What are you, British now?
I know, yeah. No, he said, that's what I thought too for him. Yeah. No, I know it was a bloody mess. A bloody mess. He put in it afterwards, and it was very different. In it,
I know it's a bloody mess, isn't it?
He said, there was a lot of blood. It was something I've never done in my whole life before. Hope not. Well, I hope not. You never decapitated a man? Shocking. Gee, me neither.
How did not... You just let this
Not
guy
crazy.
keep going?
No. I know it was a bloody mess. There was a lot of blood. It was something I've never done in my whole entire life before. Then he says, quote, I think a decade behind bars ought to be sufficient. I think 10 years should do it, right? I'll learn my lesson. Right there, you say, no, he's crazy, and you put him... I think 10 years behind bars ought to be sufficient. That should do.
The flu couldn't kill me this week.
No.
That almost did.
This'll do it. I think a decade behind bars ought to be sufficient.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Right? I mean, less if you think, but I'm going to say 10 years just to be magnanimous, but you can say less if you want, and I'll take it. But, 10 years ought to make...
I'm willing to do 10 on it.
I'll learn my lesson, I think, in 10 years. Okay. The judge has a lot to say about this, by the way. He has.
Oh, I can't wait.
He has a lot to say before sentencing. Yeah. The judge says, and I quote, I am very concerned. I have to be concerned about the fact that there does not seem to be any kind of outpatient setting that can handle your state of mental illness. If you are involuntarily committed, you're in custody, obviously. During those commitments, you tend to clear somewhat. You are released, and then as this number one I read you states, shortly after discharge, you become non-compliant with your outpatient mental health treatment, suffering a decompensation of your illness. I'm also concerned about your history of aggression and violence when you're non-compliant. And the reason is because the pattern is you become non-compliant. Then when you become non-compliant, you're aggressive and violent, which obviously creates a great risk to others, and in this particular case, created the greatest risk of all. 3, I don't find, or it doesn't appear to me, that your circumstances are going to change relative to this factor.
No.
That you are homeless and lacking any support system doesn't help. You're a 43-year-old man that has been, and this has been your situation for quite some time. You're not getting better.
Where the fuck is your family?
That's the other thing. We have no idea. He said also chronic alcohol abuse. He said, and I don't think this is ever going to go away. And from your statement to the court, it just does not appear that that's something you are ever going to successfully manage on your own.
So
then he
it doesn't
says,
seem like he's willing, yeah.
He said, protection of society is the most important goal. And Mr. Cope, I have to tell you, I view you as a very dangerous individual. No shit, the most dangerous. And the reason I do is because of the 4 factors that I talked to you about and that are contained in the mental health evaluations. Because of those 4 factors, you are dangerous to others. I think there's a high likelihood you'll commit another crime if you're released. I think so, too. And everyone has indicated those criminal offenses have been escalating in nature. And some of them may be characterized as kind of nuisance-type offenses, but obviously you are capable of much more than nuisance-type offenses. Yeah, taking someone's head off is more than a nuisance.
I wouldn't call that nuisance behavior.
Wow. Your conduct caused and threatened serious harm, and there was no justification, absolutely none, for what you did. We can only describe it as being a particularly chilling and brutal manner in which you took the life of Brian Elliott. He said, in this particular case, your mental illness has been described as incurable. You're fucked.
Yeah.
It can be treated such as that you can be functional, it appears, in a custodial setting, but the pattern has been anything less than that. You've not been able to successfully function in society, and you've not been safe for others of us who live in society. I frankly can't conceive of feeling comfortable ever with you residing in the neighborhoods of any of our communities. And if I can't do that, if I can't conclude that in probability you could be rehabilitated and could function in society if there is a chance for that, but frankly, with the evidence before the court, your history of mental health treatment and your history of mental illness, your prior criminal conduct and this particular offense, I can't conclude probably that you would ever become positioned to be safe in society.
11 years.
I'll give you 12. Doesn't you? We've talked about whether or not you might be able to circulate in the general population in a prison setting. They're like, I wouldn't even put you in Gen Pop. Never mind society.
I love how you said 10 years in jail when I can't even see you around murderers and rapists.
I can't even put you with other rapists and murderers. You understand? I fear for rapists' safety with you around.
You need rehabilitation to be stepped down into population where these people are spending the rest of their natural fucking lives.
Into normal murderer status. Holy shit.
That's awesome.
Wow. And that, frankly, is for prison officials and treatment providers to make that determination. And I think they obviously are going to consider that based on the testimony I have heard this morning. You, sir, may fuck off. Life without parole.
There it is.
10 years, he said.
I think a decade will do.
I think a decade behind bars ought to do the trick, he said. Yeah,
I think maximum probably Baker's dozen, 13 pushing it.
That's it. Yeah, we're good there, probably. I mean, if you could put me in for 15, I'll be out in 10. I could probably do that. But
I wish that judge would have
egregious.
laughed when he said a decade.
Yeah. You out of your fucking mind? Cut him off right there. So he appeals this, even though he's not allowed to appeal this somehow. So laws mean nothing in Idaho.
They mean no.
Crazy doesn't exist. You can put fucking psychiatric evaluations into court when the law clearly states you can't. You can sign an agreement saying no appeals and then appeal. There's no law in Idaho.
Doesn't matter.
Fucking whatever. He said that he shouldn't have allowed a mental competency report to be included in a pre-sentencing report. Same thing he was arguing that the judge didn't let him do. He said it violated his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. He said, that shit I said to him that you weren't supposed to use for this, which is true. That's true. He said that the district court erred in admitting this here. He contends the admission for sentencing purposes of this report disclosed statements made by Cope during the court-ordered evaluation and infringed. So the state argues that Cope has no right to an appellate review of these issues because his plea agreement had a waiver of that. So it doesn't matter if he's right or wrong. They assert that with his exception of his claim of an excessive sentence, the issues he asserts on appeal have been waived. So he said none of this matters. Mm-hmm. So he also maintains that his waiver is invalid, though, because neither the court nor either party mentioned it during the change of plea hearing. And at one point, the district court advised Cope that he had the right to appeal because they said that to him. The judge said that to him. So that I guess, supersedes the agreement. I don't know.
I guess.
They said both the prosecutor and defendant are bound by the terms of the agreement and are correspondingly entitled to receive the benefits for which they bargained. Consequently, a defendant will not ordinarily be allowed to retain the benefits of a plea agreement while at the same time disclaiming its provisions that benefit the state, they said. So it's clear Idaho law permits the waiver of a rights appeal as a term of plea bargaining. Anyway, all this shit, they go, get the fuck out of here. There you go.
You got what you got, man. We're not redoing any of this. What you did and you pled to.
That's it.
I don't give a fuck about any of the plea.
And they said he poses a grave danger to others if he should ever be released from prison. In light of the primary goal of sentencing, the protection of society, we cannot say that the district court abused its discretion in imposing a fixed life sentence. I would too, because you're fucking nuts and you're violent. So that's that.
Fuck.
He appeals again in 2006. And he is told this was a gruesome and horrifying crime that warrants the sentence imposed by the district court when all the appropriate information and factors are considered. It would be difficult to rationalize any other sentence.
Yeah.
You're
and when
nuts.
asked if you have anything to say, you led with there was a lot of blood.
There's a lot of blood. Let me tell you something. I get that. He was trying to be like, I get that what I did was bad. Look, I get it was gross, but 10 years. August 31st, 2019, here, 3:40 a.m. at the Idaho Maximum Security Institution in Kuna, officials find Cope hanging in a cell.
Is that right?
Absolutely, which is not surprising if he's got mental health problems and all that. Yep. They said that he's 59 years old. They said the time of death, they have him dying probably just before 9 p.m., but didn't find him till 3:40 a.m.
6 hours. Oh, my God.
Almost 7 hours in that cell here.
Jeez.
So that's what happened then. Here are some comments from the Facebook post announcing this.
Announcing his death?
Announcing his death, yes. Like the local Idaho News Facebook
Jesus.
page.
What do these crazy fucks have to say?
Okay, this is how shit deteriorates. Okay. One says, as a family member to Brian, all I can say is good with 4 exclamation points. My heart is filled with joy knowing this man no longer breathes air. Okay.
Well, there's some dancing in the blood.
Yeah. Then Idaho Cold Cases, who posted this, said, no kidding, were they strangers? Did you not read? You could have read the court documents. I did it. Then they respond, in a way, he was a renter above the shoe store my cousin worked at. The owner of the shoe store also own the apartments up above. Cope made a maintenance call and Brian responded, which I never heard that in anything. They said, wow, thank you for the info. I'm sorry for your family. Then someone else comments on this thread and says to the original person who said, that's my cousin, quote, the owner is a piece of garbage. See what I mean? This has nothing to do with anything. John Palucci is just not a good human.
Oh, my God.
This has nothing to do with this. Not that this is relevant to what happened, but maybe if he wasn't such a piece of crap landlord then or now. So apparently they're blaming John Palucci for this.
John was going to kick him out in 3 days, so he sawed somebody else's head off, and
That's
John's
how it
fault.
happens.
Unbelievable.
Someone else says, I knew Benadryl can cause drowsiness, but I didn't know it could cause hearing things. That's scary if indeed what he claims is true. And then someone comments on their thing. If it is, then the family and the victims needs to sue.
Oh,
Benadryl.
It's not true, you idiots.
Then someone else says, depending on the circumstances, I know that a lot of cold and allergy medicine have interactions with different prescription medication, hallucinations being a common side effect. Then someone else says, that is true. I didn't think about the possibility that he was using other prescription medications. Then someone says, I couldn't agree more. And someone says, sue Benadryl. Someone says, well, of course, the person in the McDonald's hot coffee suit made bank. That's the internet. It just deteriorates to nothing.
And you know what? Her
we
pussy
can't have a
was
society.
Burned off. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, then a lot of people from the comments go, stop using that as an example.
Honestly.
We know now that was a fucking horrific thing and blah, blah, blah. But that's the internet.
Unbelievable.
Within 10 comments, it will deteriorate away from all this. We can't have a society. We can't.
No.
It's impossible. We'll never have one again. Anyway, there you go, everybody. That's Lewiston, Idaho, and some crazy fucking shit.
Wow.
If you like that story, get on whatever app you're listening on. Give us 5 stars. It helps a ton. Shutupandgivememurder.com is the website. Tickets are available for 2025 full tour, except for one city. We have one more city to announce, and when it comes out, you'll understand why we didn't announce it on the announce day.
I love
it's
it so
going to be
much
a big
there.
one, too.
You guys
it's going to be fun.
Yes.
It's a place we've never been before. City we've never been to.
We've
It's
never
another one of
performed
those.
there. I've been there a lot. Never performed there, and I can't wait.
Can't wait. So get those right now. Shutupandgivememurder.com. Also follow on social media at Small Town Murder on Instagram, at Small Town Pod on Facebook. Patreon.com/crime in sports is the bonus material. All you need is $5 a month or above, and you get hundreds of bonus episodes you've never heard and new ones every other week. One crime in sports, one small town murder. You get them all, baby. This week, what you get for crime in sports, we're going to talk about athletes singing songs. We're going to play the videos. We're going to laugh our asses off. It's going to be a fun Christmas time. It's going to be like a fun therapy session for us. Then, for Small Town Murder, we're going to talk about remote viewing when people thought they could see 10,000 miles away what's going on right now.
You can't.
You can't. It didn't work. So they claim it did. We'll talk all about that. Patreon.com/crime in sports. And you get a shout out at the end of the regular show. You want to follow us on social media, head over to the website, drop down menu. It's all right there. Come back and keep seeing us each and every week. And until next week, everybody, it's been our pleasure.
Bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
It takes one guy out there to say, who's that Kyle who thinks he can just get on a microphone on a podcast and start publicizing this?
From iHeart Podcasts and Tenderfoot TV comes a new true crime podcast, Crook County.
I got recruited into the mob when I was 17 years old.
Meet Kenny, an enforcer for the legendary Chicago outfit.
And that was my mission, to snuff the life out of this guy.
He lived a secret double life as a firefighter-paramedic for the Chicago Fire Department.
I had a wife and I had 2 children. Nobody knew anything.
People are dying. Is he doing this every night?
Torn between 2 worlds.
I'm covering up murders that these cops are doing.
He was a freaking crazy man.
We don't know who he is, really.
He is my father, and I had no idea about any of this until now. Welcome to Crook County. Available now. Listen for free on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.